Jeanette Deutermann. She is the founder and administrator of Long Island Opt-Out on Facebook, co-founder of the New York State Allies for Public Education, and a parent advocate.
What do we want to see in our classrooms? What kind of learning do we want our kids to experience? For teachers, how do we want to be teaching our kids? As parents, what are we valuing? This move towards testing and increased testing and more testing and kids being labeled as numbers, and that's where we're headed unless we do something about it, and unless we say that this is not what we want, that this isn't the way that we want our schools to be operating. What's going on. And then again, you hear about the test prepping season, which started in January, and suddenly it was test prep, day after day, all day long, ELA and math, everything else was put aside. The subjects that a fourth grade boy would really enjoy not being done. In talking to teachers, I started asking, what's with these tests? I keep hearing about the tests, and I'm seeing the work, and everything seems to be geared toward this. What is this? And then I started getting told, well, it's not really about, these tests aren't about your kid. These are not for him. It's really for us, to grade us, to see what we're doing. And I thought, well, that's insane. So my child is going through all this only for something else that's not related to him and not related to what he's doing. But you do hear a real difference from district to district. And this is something where you guys can come in with how you want your district to be. I started with my district last year and talking to them when I first started on this whole journey, meeting with them, discussing with them what they could do. For instance, my school, we got rid of all local assessments. So now our K through 2 students do not take any standardized testing. If they take standardized tests, it's strictly in-house, it's not related to APPR. And some schools will say, we did local assessments before Common Core, but before APPR, before the teacher evaluation was tied to that local assessment, it was used authentically. They let the kids take it, they wanted to see what they got on it. If they did really well in the fall, that was a good thing. Now it's been completely perverted because of APPR. Now they're being used to give a good growth score in the end, so it's no longer being used for the same reasons that it was. And most teachers, again, I don't just say whatever just I personally feel. I take a basic feeling from thousands of teachers on the island, and I would say 95% of them said that they do not use the local assessments for anything good in their class, that they can't use them for anything useful. Okay, so the only standardized tests our kids in our district are taking are the state assessments in the spring. Really, all of this is about district choice. It's about local control of our system. So again, but you do see a difference from district to district, and the districts that are giving the teachers a little more control over what they're teaching are the ones that are faring much better in this whole mess. I've had people so many times say to me, but my kids do okay on the test, so I don't really see the problem. And I say it's a problem because that teacher is not happy. Teachers say, teachers are afraid too for their scores. So you have a teacher where even though they would rather not do the modules and not teach to the test and all that, okay, if they don't do that, the consequence could be all their kids in their class getting 1s and 2s, and now all the parents saying, why are all the kids in our class, you were rated the worst teacher in the school based on your test scores. And see, for me, I say the teachers that get the lower scores, I would almost consider them better teachers because maybe they're not the ones doing test prep. Okay, but you see how backwards the whole thing is, so backwards, but they're being forced to do it. I personally, I would like the unions to step up even more. My superintendent met with all the principals and instructed her, I do not want us focused on test prepping, and I do not care about the scores. And that's the message that I want you to send back to your teachers, that I do not want this to be the way it has been. So again, you're talking about administrative, Board of Ed, administrative leadership that's going to refocus the school, whether we can succeed in what we're trying to do or not. There can still be some real big wins within the district. Actually, the day that I decided to refuse the test was when we got a notice saying that they were offering early morning test prep sessions. And I said to my son, okay, they want you to do this class, you're going to have to go in an hour early Tuesday and an hour early Thursday. He crumpled to the floor and went into hysterics. And this is not an emotional child. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Like, what? And it was like a wake up, like, oh my God, I was like sucking. I didn't do that much studying for the SATs. What am I doing to my 8-year-old? This is enough. I say to them, well, are you okay with the fact that for 2 months before the test, they're not doing any authentic learning? Are you okay with the fact that the teacher's not happy? And that unhappiness is going to filter down to your kids. And you know, people have said to me, well, what's the point of having your Board of Ed pass a resolution on testing? The point of it is the Board of Ed passing a resolution like that is going to send a message that they're supporting the teachers, they're supporting the parents, and they're supporting the kids. Okay, yeah, it doesn't do anything. It's not going to change your testing schedule. It's not going to, you know, make anything suddenly better. But after my Board of Ed passed that resolution the next day, the teachers were like running around the halls, and one teacher had pom-poms, and they all had smiles on their faces. There's a reason for that, because all of a sudden now they're being validated by their school, by their Board of Ed, is saying, we get it. We understand this isn't good. We understand that this is not good for you. It's not good for the kids. And the parents felt like they were being supported. As far as opting out, there's no consequence to the school, the teacher, or the student. There's no effect on IEPs or 504 plans. It's very important. A lot of people say, oh my God, but the school told me that my child will lose their IEP. It's not, by law, they cannot do that. Advancement to the next grade, not going to happen. We do not hold a child back from refusing the state test. Permanent record. These tests do not go on a permanent record. Colleges are not going to look at their 3 through 8 scores. Okay, we've checked just to make. We knew it, but we checked just to make sure. There is no permanent record with these. As far as honors programs, the schools should not be using test scores as the determining factor for honors program. If a child refuses, they should allow a portfolio type of assessment to be done or to look at, and teacher recommendations for that. And most schools did do that last year. I didn't hear of any schools that stuck to just the test scores and said, oh, she refused, she can't be in honors. That didn't happen. Even though a lot of schools threatened that would happen, it didn't end up happening. How do you opt out? You print out your refusal letter, turn it into the superintendent and the principal. A lot of people like to turn it into the teacher as well. Speak to the teacher. Because you are a sit and stare district, if they remain sit and stare, one thing you can do is pick up your child right after they refuse the assessment. So there's a set time that the test is administered. So you come into the school 10 minutes after and you come get your child. If you're absent for the whole day, when your kid shows up to school, they'll give a makeup. So unless you're going to keep your kid home for a couple of weeks straight, you should really have them come in, refuse the test, and then take them out for the day, or take them out even just for 2 hours and bring them back. No. If the test is placed in front of them, or if they successfully refuse the test, they cannot be given a makeup. So you get your letters printed out if you do want to refuse a test. You turn it into your principal. You might get a letter back saying you can't opt out, but you're not asking for permission. You're instructing the district that your child is not taking the assessment. So this isn't asking for permission situation, okay? And again, thousands of us successfully refused last year. So when a district says, oh no, you can't opt out, it's not possible. Well, information. There's a lot of districts that just don't want parents to hear the other side. Legislators understand that this is the voting issue. This is what people will vote on, regardless of party. Because this is going across party lines. What are we doing? Why not say, who cares about the test scores? And let's just focus on real learning. And and it gets to a point where you just have to say it's enough. And and then schools have to stand up against it and not keep towing this line of saying, well, we're going to be graded on it, so we better keep doing it. Why? And teach your parents what's going on. Instead of saying, oh, this is all great, because we want to keep everything, quiet, and we don't want everybody to get all up, uproar. They hate me coming into the districts because I get people all up in arms about it, but you should be. And the schools should be getting the parents involved, and they should be saying to the parents, this isn't good, we don't like that we have to do this. And then the schools should take responsibility for what their role is. Everybody has a role. They have a role in this. That they need to make sure that the message they're sending to the principals and the rest of the school is not one of, hey, let's get those scores up, so drop everything and just test prep right now. That's the other thing. When people say to me, don't you get so frustrated that there's so many parents that don't want to know about this and aren't involved? who wants to really know that things are not good? And that your child's school, no matter how much you love the teachers and the administration and the school itself, and that things are not good, and there's a problem, and you have to be involved in order to fix it.